Click the screen or link in the description to use my Robinhood promo code. Free stocks, yay! What's up? It's Cooper from GilkyTutors.com, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing how you can become a millionaire. So I'm not talking making $1 million a year. I mean when you're 65 years old, having $1 million in savings. So we're going to be using this very customizable spreadsheet. So we're going to be starting at 20 years old, and then there on after. So at the age of 25, we're going to start making $40,000 a year. 35, we're going to start making $65,000 a year. And 42 and after, we're going to be making $70,000 a year. So these are the average incomes for people of those ages. And from that data, we're going to be taking that you're going to be investing 10% of your annual income, which is what you should be investing. So that would be 4,000 from 25 and after, 6,500 from 35 and after, and 7,000 from 42 and after. And this is going to be based on 7% returns per year. So first, let's get started with our initial investment. So a lot of people who are the age of 20 don't have a lot of money to put into the stock market. So this initial investment for most people will be very small. But this initial investment, or how much you put in initially, is very, very important because this is going to change how much money you're making every single month. So as you can see here, we start at 20 years old with $100 initial investment. And after that $8 per month that we put in, we're only making a couple of cents. But say, for example, we put in $1,000 instead. We start at $1,000 and we're making a couple of bucks per month off of that $1,000 initial investment. So it's very important that you start with as much money as you can put forward. I know a lot of people at the age of 20 are in college and don't have that $1,000 to put into the stock market. But if you do, I highly recommend, rather than just having it sit in a bank account and doing nothing. And this amount per year really depends on what you're doing. So if you're in college, you probably can put somewhere around $100 per year, especially if you're not working a second job and you're going deeper and deeper in debt with college. So instead of spending money investing it in the stock market, I'd recommend putting it towards that college debt. But say, for example, that you're not in college and you have a whole surplus of funds that you can put in. You have, let's say, $1,000 per year or even $10,000 per year. So at the age of 20 or 25 or even 35, you have very little expenses. You don't really have kids yet. You don't have those kinds of expenses to take most of your money away. So you can put all of that money into investments. So if we're putting in $10,000, let's change that because that's not very realistic. Let's say $500 per year, which is probably a realistic estimate for what you could be putting in. So you're going to be putting in $41 per month. And let's just scroll down here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so we can see our chart a little bit better. So here we're starting at 20 years old, put in $1,000, putting in about $40 per month. And let's see when we hit that $10,000 mark. So we will when we're 26 years old. And this is when we're going to be putting in $4,000 per year. So we hit $10,000 there. And as you can see, we're progressing very, very slowly. So we go up to 30 and 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. When we hit 35, we hit another jump, so you only have $67,000 in investments. So you're probably thinking to yourself, how the heck did we go from $67,000 to $1 million so quickly from the age of 35 to 65? Well, it's just having that money in the stock market because we're getting that 7% return per year. It's going to slowly get higher. So from 35 to 37, we went from $60,000 to around $100,000 in just 2 years. So that's $40,000, and we're only putting $4,000 into the stock market. So we're making huge returns on our investments. As you can see here, it's about 1,000, even though we're not putting in that much. So let's scroll down a little bit further. As you can see, it's going up a couple of thousand now every time that we scroll down. So in 42 here, this is when we reach our max income, which is $70,000 per year. So we're putting in $7,000 into the stock market every year. And as you can see, it's getting higher and higher and higher. And it just slowly gets higher. We reach the $500,000 mark when we're around 53 years old. So from 53 to 65, you make around $500,000 just from having that $500,000 in the stock market. So we scroll down a little bit further. As you can see, we retire here at 60 years old. So this just means that we're no longer making any income because we're not working anymore. So the only income that we're making is what we're profiting off of from the stock market. So as you can see, it's about $5,000 per month at the age of 60 and on, which is crazy. Because if you think about it, after you're retired, if you're making $5,000 per month, that's $60,000 per year on those investments. And that goes along with the money that you're making off of your retirement funds. So you're making so much money when you're 60 years old, and it all depends on if you're investing at a young age. So we'll scroll down here, and we do hit this $1 million mark at 62 years old. And here we go. At 65, we would almost have $1.2 million in investments in our savings accounts. And now this is just based on what the average person makes. So it's not really about how much you put in. It's about that buildup and not taking out that money. So there's going to be dips and dives in the stock market. There's going to be huge ups and huge downs. Like for example, so here in March in 2020, we had a huge dip in the stock market because of the coronavirus epidemic. So smart investors kept their money in, or were even buying in March because they knew that stock market was going to bounce right back and they were going to make tons of money. So you just need to remember to keep all of that money in, even if you're losing money, because in the end, you're going to average about 7% return on your investments per year. So in one phrase, for someone who's starting investing, I would recommend starting immediately, keeping that money in, and just letting it grow as you progress. And that's going to be the key to having that $1 million when you retire at 65 years old. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you did like this video, please consider liking and subscribing for more similar content. And if you need tutoring of any kind, please go to gilkytutors.com. Thank you.